The Hamas clearly must have thought that there have been some trends in the West that they can receive more support from the West, and at the same time that they have been losing support among the leaders of the political leaders in the Arab world, and they wanted to test whether the Arab street will be able to provide enough support for them to somehow change the dynamics. I believe that they have overestimated their capabilities here, and probably they will simply be crushed and replaced by Fatah, because Israel has made a couple of statements. There was the ambassador to the UN who stated it. It was the spokesman of the IDF, Jonathan Henriquez, who also said yesterday that there is no interest in occupying the Gaza Strip after this war. The ambassador to the UN put it this way. He stated that Israel has no desire to rule over the lives of 2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. So it seems like the operation is to destroy the military capabilities of Hamas, to simply also remove them from administrative power in the Gaza Strip, and instead of replacing them with other representatives of the Palestinian people, and most likely it will be the same political group that rules in the West Bank, so Fatah. And if we look at Poland here and the Warsaw Uprising, we have a different political situation. During the Second World War, there was a unity government from left to right, at least within. In the West, it was a little bit more difficult, because there you had, before the war, if you go back to before the war, you have the Sanation camp that was had been earlier been centered around the father of the modern Polish state, Józef Piłsudski. After his death in 1935, they kept on ruling Poland up until 1939. However, they got the blame for not being able to defend Poland once the war had started, but also of not having some form of better foreign policy that would have not created a situation in which they were attacked by their two larger neighbors. So when the Polish government in exile was created, they clearly pushed away the Sanation representatives, and instead they chose the political group that had been repressed by the Sanation group before the war, and they were centered around General Sikorski, who had been an enemy of Piłsudski ever since the May coup in 1926. So they, in the West, they did not want the Sanation people. They were also not very fond of the national democracy camp. However, in the country, in Poland, you had a very broad political alliance from the left to the right. The only group that really didn't sign up to this was the communists, simply because the communists, they had their allegiance somewhere else in Moscow, naturally. So when the Warsaw Uprising took place, all the Poles fought together. There was no Hamas that dominated the Warsaw Uprising. Everybody fought together. In Gaza, you can see that it's a very difficult situation for the civilian people, naturally. Many that were there, they simply just they have a tough time anyway with economic crisis, high density, and where they're living, difficult living conditions. Airstrikes from the Israeli Air Force is probably the last thing that they wanted in their lives, but nevertheless, this is what they are living through now due to this surprise attack by Hamas. Here, when we discuss strategies, it has to be said that this Hamas attack, the brutality that was witnessed, it was clearly a part of the military strategy here. They wanted to massacre as many civilians as possible. They wanted to do it in as brutal ways as possible. They wanted to take hostages with them, to take them back to Gaza, and they wanted to. The idea here is simply to provoke the Israelis into overreacting. in turn punish the Palestinians living in Gaza by an attack that would be merciless. If this would have happened, then in turn there could have been a counter-reaction from the Arab world. So some of these horrific videos that we have been seeing in recent days, they're clearly part of a strategy by the Hamas leadership.
Adam, alas, the clock in the corner of the studio is flashing at me that time is up. So if we may ask you to pause there and we'll pick up the story next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not, if you join us next time, as we hope you will, we'll continue the story. In the meantime, thank you for watching Poland Daily History.